Alright guys, so today we're going to take a look at how to make another simple table. It's going to be a two-column table with 6 rows. Okay, maybe we're going to do less rows. But today we're going to take a look at how we can make the whole table width much larger, how we can define our row height, and how we can define our cell width individually if we want to. Okay, so when I'm talking about these, I'm talking in general. Hang on, let's draw a little arrow. So we can define the width of the entire table. Okay, let's take a different color. Okay, this is the width of the entire table. We can define the height of individual rows, which is from here to here. And we can define the internal width of cells, okay, from here to here. So let's take a look at how we can do something like this. So first things first, I have my HTML document here with the basic HTML structure and the basic table structure. Okay, now for the sake of the example, I'm just going to add this table a border. Okay, and I'm going to take for granted that we don't have anything in the header section or the footer section. Everything is in the body section for this example. Okay, so in this case I'm going to do 3 rows. Okay, and I'm going to give them some content. So table row 1, table row 2, and table row 3. Okay, now I'm going to add a bit of spacing to make this more readable. And I'm going to add table data in each. The first cell is going to be with the letter A. The second cell will be with the letter B. Oops. Like so. The second row will have again 2 cells. And the third row again will have 2 cells. Like so. So if I save this as an HTML file, and I need to change it to HTML. There we go. Alright, and now I need to open that. Desktop. I must have done something wrong, it seems. There we go, we've missed a brace. So if I refresh, it should look like this. Now this is a pretty boring table. First things first, I want to add a caption. I want to add a title to this table, something that will appear on top, so I will give it a caption. The caption always falls between the table tag and the header table heading tag. So right here, I'm going to add a caption. I'm going to call it, "This is the coolest table in the world." And I will close this caption and see what happens. So let's refresh the web page. Now I have a caption, but look at how awkward this looks. Okay, so I don't like this. I don't want this to be this narrow. I want this whole table to be 50% of the window, the browser window, wide. So now I need to affect the entire table. I want the entire table's width to be 80% wide. To do this, in the table tag, I will add a style tag. Okay, I'll write equals, and anything that comes after equals has quotes. Okay, so I'll write a style tag, and then I want to change the width of the entire table to be 50% of the browser window. Okay, so I've written style width. Now I'm going to use a semicolon because I used an equals before. Okay, this is how it works. And I'm going to write 50% and close my quotes. Let's see how that affects my table. So I'm going to press save. I'm going to refresh. And already I've got my table taking 50% of the window. Now, I'm going to also center the entire table in this browser window. To do that, again, in the table tag, since I'm affecting the entire table, I need to add something in the table tag. Right? I need to write now, after my style, I need to use another element called align equals quotes center, close my quotes, and save and see what happens. There we go. Now it's center aligned, and we have the table taking 50% of the browser window. Awesome. Now let's say that I want to increase the height of the first and the last rows. Okay? So if I want to increase the height of the first and last rows, in a similar manner, I need to find the first row, which is here, and I need to write style. Let's actually give it a bit of a definition. I want the first row to be 100 pixels tall. Okay? So I'm going to write here style equals, again, quote, height, semicolon, 100 pixels, and close my quotes. Now if I save this, I should see my first row becoming taller. So let's refresh, and there we have it. The first row is taller. Right, we also wanted the last row to be taller, so I need to find my last row and type in the same thing. Style equals quotes, height, semicolon, 100 pixels, and close my quotes. Save my file, refresh my web page, and let's see what happens. So there we have it. Now, the middle row looks a bit out of unbalanced, so let's resize that. Let's give that a height of 50 pixels. So I'm going to add, again, here, style, equals height, semicolon, 50 pixels in this case, and close my quotes, save, and let's see how that turns up. There we go. Now it looks a bit better. Okay. Now another thing that you really need to know how to do is collapse this table so that you can use a different style of borders. Okay? So the way we can do this, since collapse affects the entire table, okay, again, we will need to change something in the table tag, okay, and this collapse is part of the style attribute. Okay, so we need to add another style attribute. Okay, since we have an existing style attribute, we can continue adding to this one. We don't need to rewrite style equals quote blah blah blah. So in this case, I'm going to put a colon, and I'm going to type in border dash collapse semicolon collapse. Okay, so this should break my border. It should make it collapse. Okay, but we're not quite finished yet. Usually when we collapse the border, we also want to give it a specific dimension or a specific style. So after this, I'm going to add another colon, and I'm going to tell it the border should be solid and, for example, 2 pixels. So let's see what this has done. So if I save this and I refresh the page, we get something like this. We get an outline and a very, very light inline. Okay? So to add the same kind of lines inside, dark black lines in the inside, we need to change things that are found in each table data cell. So in each cell. So I need to do something similar in my table data. So in my table data, I need to add style equals quote, okay, border, semicolon, solid, 2 pixels, and close my quotes. Now I need to do this in every table data cell, so I'm going to copy it in every table data cell to replicate the effect. Now I see in, oh, maybe not, okay, there we go. Alright, let's save it and see what happens. So if I refresh now, we can see that I have lines inside. So I've collapsed that almost 3-dimensional table, and I've created a different style of border. Okay? Now, there's some other things that we're usually asked to do. For example, what if I want the cells on the left to be shorter in length than the cells on the right? For example, I would like the cells on the left to be 40% of the width of the table, rather than being 50 and 50%. Now, the way I can do this, if I'm given dimensions, I can give specific dimensions for the width, but if I'm not, and I'm given percentages, I could just use a percentage. Let's take a look at how we would do that. So since I'm affecting the cell width, I need to play around with the cell, the table data. So let's take a look at our code. So let's say we want to shrink all the left columns, A, C, and E, to be 40% instead of 50% wide. So I need to change something here. Now, since I already have a border style, I already have a style and I have this border, I can, before my quote finishes, I can add a colon, and now I can tell it width, semicolon, 40%. Okay? And now I'm going to copy the same thing in all my first cells. I need to copy the semicolon as well. Let's see. Like so, and like so. Let's save and see what happens. So there we have it. We have a shorter left column compared to the right column. Okay. And now, in many cases, I can be asked to center align or change the alignment of my text in the cells. Maybe I'm asked to top align it, or middle align it, or bottom align it. Okay? Now, the way we do this is, again, since we're affecting the cells individually, we need to play around with the table data tags again. So let's say I'm going to top align the letter B here, I'm going to middle align the letter D here, and I'm going to bottom align the letter F. So let's find these cells. Alright, so I already have an existing style tag, as we've seen, and to do what we want right now, we know that alignments are part of the styling. So after the border tag, the border modification that we've made. We're going to add a colon, okay, and we're going to write vertical align, whoops, vertical dash align, colon, top. This should make the alignment of letter B appear on the top of the cell here, so it should make it appear higher. Okay. Now we want to do something similar for the letter D. So here we're going to type in again vertical dash align, colon, middle, and semicolon. And then for the last one, for the letter F, we want to type something similar again, vertical dash align, colon, bottom. Okay. We don't need this. This was me jumping ahead of myself. So if I refresh the page now, we should see that our cells are appearing at the top for the letter B, in the middle for the letter D, and at the bottom for letter F. Now let's see how we can align these letters in a different way. So let's make the letter B be aligned to the left, letter D to the center, and letter F to the right. Okay, so how do we do this? We need to go once again into the cell that we're interested in. So in this case, the cell for B, the letter B. So table data for the letter B. And after our vertical alignment, we need to add text dash align. And we need to give it a direction. So in this case, we want it to be left for B. We want to type something similar again for the cell that affects the letter D. So text dash align, center. And we want to make the same change for letter F. So we need to write here again, text dash align, and you guessed it, right. So let's check this out, let's see if it works. So save it, and let's refresh the web page. And as you can see, the letter B is left aligned, D is center aligned, and F is right aligned. So that's pretty much it for today. I hope you enjoyed the video. I hope you found this video helpful. And we're gonna check out some other cool stuff in the next video. Catch you in the next one.